Hello, this is David Baumblatt from Terabit Leadership. Welcome to today's lesson. We are going to be talking about Donald Trump, the war in Iran, a little about China as well, and then overall the bigger picture, which is usual, America is going down. Again, talking with the Trump supporter, and that is, again, when you're looking at MAGA, they have turned more and more in a cult. And again, when you're thinking about leadership, always remember, follow your principles and not the person. If they align, great. The problem is, as I've said before, what exactly are our principles in America? It's easier said, hard than done. Meaning, I'm sure people will list out principles left and right, but do you follow them? Probably not. So what are we? We're basically a corporation. We follow the money. Let's get into the news and take a look at this. So this is an interesting Sun Tzu quote, pertains a lot to Donald Trump, but you're going to see Iran is going to be a total failure. It's going to be a total failure. And you got to remember, many people continue to predict Trump is playing 3 or 4D chess. This is a guy who dodged the draft. None of his kids served in the military. He's not going to die. They're going to make money off this war. But to the regular citizen, nah, you're not going anywhere. And then now let's look at this. This is interesting as we're comparing more about the FBI. This is back, as everyone knows, in 2007. So let me bring this up. Senator Chuck Grassley. It's amazing how this guy is still getting a paycheck. It's just an absolute shitbag, this guy is. But anyway, so he's talking about the FISA. Hopefully everyone knows now the FISA. This is basically how the FBI does not need to utilize the Fourth Amendment to spy on people, which I'm okay with if you're a foreign national. If you're U.S. citizens, it's unconstitutional. Anyway, back to the story. 2007, I wrote Senator Chuck Grassley. This is exactly what I wrote him on. And remember, it's MAGA time now, right? Donald Trump is changing stuff. What did Senator Chuck Grassley do? He thinks it's one of the most valuable national security tools. Oh, they're going to do it. This is going to continue to go on, meaning the deep state. If you think you're going to vote your way out of this problem, Democrats or Republican, you're nuts. And how are we doing in the FBI? What do you think? Has this changed or whatnot? No, let's take a look. Let's take a look at this guy. This guy's an absolute shitbag. So anyway, this is the part. This is let's first take a look at. It's amazing how this guy's the director of the FBI. J. Edgar Hoover never would have allowed this. That's for sure.
I just wanted to tell him that he was a cuck for Israel.
Kash Patel, the American people want to know, how does it feel to be a cuck for Israel? Answer the question.
American people are seeing and hearing what the FBI is doing on a daily basis.
You're claiming to serve the American people? You're serving Israel.
So I'm proud
Serving
to be the
Israel.
director of the FBI that has seen the most significant.
How does it feel to be Israel's bitch?
It's amazing. I mean, if you think about, we'll finish and then we'll talk.
How does it feel to be Israel's bitch, Kash Patel? You don't care about kids getting The American people want to know. Fucking liar.
I mean, none of these people are in charge, obviously. Like,
No, they get told what.
I mean, look at these two douchebags. Dan Bongino, Kash Patel, duty on our country? No, paycheck. Doing it for that's why Dan left. The paycheck wasn't good enough. So he went to do grifting podcasting.
all compromised.
They're all part of the
Super
system. The
compromised.
DOJ, the FBI. Oh, they're looking at me and you as the enemies, not the pedophiles.
They want to hold us to some standard of professionalism and decorum and oh my God. But it's like, I'm sorry, you guys are kids. So like if
Literally.
I cuss at you, if I call you a cuck for Israel, it's not on the same level at all. I'm sorry I hurt your feelings, but I think that we need to shame them
These
more.
guys are. So look what I wrote here. It's still amazing. I mean, what an absolute cuck these people are. So that's my issue. But these people in the government, you would be surprised on just what limp dicks people who decide to make careers in the government are. Not very smart, not very hardworking, and not much risk taking. Remember, America, the greatness of America was not really founded or originated from the government. It was originated from the private sector. And you got these people, it's just, man. Anyway, here's a final video before we go on the news. This is what I should have showed yesterday, but I want you to think about this video and ask yourself, is this white woman here Is she really worried about Iran or what? So remember, before you watch this video, you ask yourself, this white woman, you think she's more worried about her black community or the Iranians, the terrorists from Iran? That white girl probably lucky she had friends. I think that black woman was going to beat her some more. Isn't America? Look at this. You know, when you think about America, we're not getting along. We can't even come along with the military or anything else. This is our American communities. One big family.
And she's talking to me. Bye. Here's her. Put your hands on my child. I'm pressing charges too. What? I'm pressing charges too. Oh, well, now you're mad.
Oh, God, I can't take it. The monkey language is too much for me. But, you know, do I blame the black people? Not at all. Who do I blame? Well, the white woman wanted the right to vote. This is what they get. So I blame the white woman. But I actually don't blame the white woman. Who do I blame? The white cuck, man. This whole thing. But think about it. You're living at, remember, Donald Trump and all these elites, they live similar with these liberal Democrats. They live in their gated community. They're rich. I'm saying, meaning at the end of the day, it's really turning into the rich versus everybody else. They don't have to deal with this stuff. But you're telling me in some of these, not some of these, a lot of these we're going to do the next video or the other about homelessness in America. There's more Americans living in their cars. But the point being is do you really think they're worried about Iran? Is that their number one thing? And even in terms of safety, I bet more Americans are worried about their physical safety. I don't know, just walking down the street, their neighbors getting gunshot. Really? The Iranians? Really? And I've said many times, if you really wanted to shut down terrorism, probably look at immigration. We're talking legal immigration, probably shut it down. Like, don't even let anyone from Iran legally immigrate to America. Fuck them. Just don't do it and let them. But anyway, if you think about where's really the threat, I mean, are you out of your mind? I say again, Donald Trump is either compromised or he's been bribed. One or the other. But like I said, the war with Iran from the side of Israel, yeah, that makes sense. They got to do what they got to do, whatever. I'm not really a Middle East expert on that. But from America first, we're spending probably at least $1 billion per day, at least, just on operational costs to have the military. It's all funny money. They don't care. Because like I said, when the US dollar gets inflated out of the way, if you're a normal US citizen, you're going to be in pain. But if for instance, I think only 10% or less of Americans own stocks or assets. So you're going to have to be in that sort of, meaning when the American dollar turns more and more worthless, if you don't have these hard assets that can compete against an inflating dollar, you're screwed. And most people don't. So again, I've said many times, I believe America first has really been translated as American corporations first, not American people, to include the tariffs, all this stuff. This is all to protect the American corporations, not really the people. But anyway, I see Gonka's on here, working all levels of the government. Most of them are lazy. You know, like I said, I've never wanted to come out here and say this stuff. I don't get my rocks off. Because think about it. A lot of my resume is built on that, especially West Point. I'm being very generous. I believe, now I'm always talking about now, I believe the government was better before, 1950s. And I think it was that way for probably two reasons. Reason number one, the private sector wasn't as appetizing before, money-wise. That's number one. And then two, I don't know, a bunch of white men. Our government was filled with white men, not much women, not many racial minorities, not many immigrants. I mean, none. J. Edgar Hoover, all white men. So I think the reason I look at, to include West Point only back in the days, we're talking World War II. I don't know when they changed it. Obviously, we know 1975 was when female cadets were allowed to go into West Point. It went downhill. Before then, even only white men were allowed to go into West Point. So when I look back and think, why was our government in general better back then? I just think because the private sector, one, wasn't offering so much money. I mean, if, like I said, if you're really smart, really hardworking, and you're a risk taker, it just would not make any sense to me that you're like, I want to make a career in the government. I mean, maybe you go into the government for a quick stint because you want to do something cool. I guess so, maybe. But back in the 1950s, being an FBI agent was a big deal. I mean, it was no joke. And it was all filled with white men. So, put them all together. But now the government, it's a bunch of, I mean, I look at this fucking guy, Kash Patel, send this Indian man back to India. What a complete, utter, I mean, think about these FBI. That's what I wrote. You could tell a lot of these people in the government, I'm telling you, they're incels. The FBI, the CIA, Hollywood has done an amazing story with Jason Bourne. That's not how it is. Even I'm going to do stories about special operations, the Rangers, the Navy SEAL. It's changed, people. It's changed so much. But you've got now the FBI, think about it. They have no problem going behind my back like little girls and spying on me. And literally, like we'd say in high school, talking shit about me. You have no clue when people like the FBI talks about you with peers, colleagues, future employers. It ruins your career. Just an example, like even if the FBI secretly went to your neighbors and wanted to know about you, your neighbors will look at you differently. Like keep going on. But then it gets even worse. Then when you confront them, it's like back to high school. Most of these FBI agents have never been in a fist fight in their whole life. I did the story when we did the mandatory boxing training at the FBI Academy. Most of them are pussies. I could have took out every single one. I'll tell you the story again another time. But anyway, they sneak behind your back like little girls. They destroy your reputation. It's a very feminine thing. Again, I left the FBI. I wasn't for me. I was like, thanks, but no thanks. I wasn't being rude. I didn't talk shit about them when I left until now. I just wanted out of there. It's this incestual cult of little penis men. Anyway, so they go behind your back and talk shit about you, which ruins your reputation, everything, literally damages. When they talk to foreign governments about you, ding, 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 you're not going to get a visa to that country. That's what I'm going to mean. Then you confront them and say, listen, I know you're going behind my back and destroying my reputation. You obviously are investigating me for something, even though there's no evidence. Why is there no evidence? Because I've never done anything criminal. So then talk to me. Grab your little dick and face me face to face, man to man, and level it. And they don't want to do it. Is that not the essence of, no wonder white men aren't getting laid in America. A man like that is just not a man. He just has a little dick. I just wonder, meaning if someone said, David, you're behind my back, you're talking shit about me, I heard. Yeah, I am. We'll say it to my face. All right, you're a nigger. Bad word, impolite, take it back. But either way, if I'm saying it behind his back, you say it to their face. Generally speaking, I mean, didn't you learn this? The problem is most kids growing up, some in the FBI, I don't know, maybe they didn't have a strong father. This is something you learn as a kid. I'm telling you and see, the FBI and the CIA, it is so dysfunctional. It is so dysfunctional. Just leaving. But anyway, we'll go on. Let's go on. Now we're going to talk about Trump. Trump is getting dysfunctional. I know it because most people, when they get to this cult personality now, again, they follow the person and not the principles. The same thing, I even have people hear about the ICE, defending the shootings from those ICE people. I'm telling you, I defended January 6 people. I did. I still believe some of them had criminal acts, but not national security. I've said slap them on the wrist, give them a fine. I even said jokingly, spend a week in jail. You'll tell your grandkids about it. There I was. I illegally entered the Capitol. I broke some stuff and I had to spend a week in jail. It's kind of like a badge of honor. But we're talking serious jail time. I said, no way. I looked upon January 6th as a protest gone out of hand. I mean, it did get out of hand, people. Not national security. Guess what those two liberals, I don't remember what her name is, Renee Good and this guy, Patelli or something, the two people, liberal lunatics. That's not illegal, though, to be a liberal lunatic. Were they doing illegal activities? Probably misdemeanors, impeding police investigations. They should get, whatever, arrested. I still think if you slap on the wrist, come on. But killed? No. Bad shot. And labeled as a domestic terrorism? Are you fucking kidding me? And people said, no, you're right, because they go with Donald Trump. And guess what Donald Trump did? He knew something was wrong. That's why he fired the DHS. I'm telling you, Donald Trump doesn't know what the fuck he's doing in Iran. This is a guy who dodged the draft 5 times. Kids never served in the military. And now, besides Israel, there is going to be American corporations that are making money off this war. Hey, the military-industrial complex. But from an American citizen standpoint, yeah, man, this is a good idea. You're a moron. All I can say, you're an absolute moron. Don't think so? Let's listen to Donald Trump. He's really getting off the kilter here. Let's listen to what he's got to say.
Okay? They are military. We're the winner. We won. Okay? They are military.
Okay, I guess we won. If you're going to do military, we won, then that means we accomplished our objective. I don't know what our objective was, just to bomb the shit out of them and then say bye. Okay, that was the objective.
Really defeated.
A week of gloating by the president and his men has been overshadowed by growing discontent within MAGA ranks over Donald Trump's war with Iran.
I mean, I don't know about you, but I am sick of this. I'm sick of it.
That's Megyn Kelly, a conservative firebrand, who's among those turned.
Now notice, I'm not a fan of Megyn Kelly. She's a feminist. I don't believe women deserve the right to vote. But what I'm telling you is when you find someone that you're not ideologically aligned with, but you still agree with their points, and you go through my videos, I've done this many times, whether it's a black guy. Remember Trevor Noah? I'm not aligned with Trevor Noah, but guess what he said to that fucking, what's that blondie's name, whatever her name is, totally overrated. But when you agree with someone that you're not politically aligned with, that's a strong point. Megyn Kelly, she's right. It is what it is. She's right.
Turning on Trump after his threat this week to wipe out Iran's entire civilization.
This is completely irresponsible and disgusting.
There's former Fox News host Tucker Carlson.
To send out a tweet with the F word on Easter morning promising the murder of civilians and then saying praise be to Allah without explaining any of it, you are mocking me and every other Christian.
And conspiracy theorist Alex Jones, once a MAGA diehard.
The Iran war is a total disaster, a black eye for America.
On X, former Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, once a fierce loyalist, wrote, President Trump has gone mad. But in a 482-word post on Truth Social, Trump responded to the friendly fire. They're stupid people, he wrote, calling them nut jobs and troublemakers.
Anybody who's got a megaphone can cause a president problems over time. So he should be concerned.
So far, the trouble in Trumpland does not extend to the president's grassroots supporters. Polls show a majority of Americans, 53%, oppose the war, while 77% of so-called MAGA Republicans are in favor of it.
They're used to.
I say again, leadership, you could still support the president, but disagree with his policy. The problem is that the more and more you disagree with his policy, meaning if he makes a mistake here, makes a mistake there, you could say, listen, he made a mistake or I disagree with that policy. But overall, even me, if I voted, I don't vote anymore. If I voted, and that's where I think Donald Trump knows he's got us by the balls. Not me, I left, I don't vote. But even if I had to vote again, probably going to vote for Trump. And I think he knows that too. So the part is you could still disagree with an act, a policy, his post, but still say, I support Trump. But if it continues on more and more, I disagree, then it might start affecting, say, listen, one mistake is okay, 3, 4, 5, the guy's taking so many mistakes. But the problem is, if you totally write off Donald Trump and say you're not going to support him anymore, unless you're going to go to guns and ammo, it will get there. It'll collapse. But We're not at that stage yet. It needs to be more pain. Or what a lot of people are doing, you're leaving. You're not voting at all. What are you stuck with? Choice A, choice B, Democrats or Republicans. And as horrible as Trump is changing, I still can't see I'd vote for, or then when he leaves, you got to vote for J.D. Vance. You get what I'm saying. This is a democracy. It's like choice A or choice B. Welcome to democracy. Oh, yeah, that's great. Great choices here.
Sticking together 90% or more. And when I see a number like 77%, I know the non-MAGA Republicans are more like 50%.
For Trump, it's now a question of whether the war and a shaky economy are politically sustainable. Inflation has reached its highest point in nearly 2 years, and with gas prices still high, it's only going to get worse. And Jeff, that's adding fuel to the voices of discontent in Trump's orbit.
All right, we're going to go a couple more of these things, or you're starting to see, remember I said that guy Cat Turd? Again, I don't even know these people, but then when I got on X, again, I've been suspended on X 3 times. Isn't that an important question? Why is a military veteran suspended on X? Elon Musk, literally, what happened? I had to use a friend to open up my 4th account. I think if this account gets suspend, I don't know what I'll do. I look forward to just leaving here. But the point being is so this guy Cat Turd, like I didn't know who these people are. Now I'm sort of knowing who are, and they all seem to literally be paid Republican influencers, or you get what I'm saying, political action, operatives. Sure enough, Cat Turd, I think he's got 4 million followers. He blocked me. So when you have so many followers, sometimes I give people the benefit of the doubt. They don't know who I am. But if you block me, you probably know who I am. Why would you block me? Why wouldn't you repost? Don't you care about military veterans, government corruption? These people. And so if you don't know who Cat Turd is, he's this total MAGA, superstar, everything like that. But it's turned into a fucking cult. Just really some dumb, stupid people. And it really is all about the money. It's like a corporation. A lot of these people, I really think they're just paid influencers and they're just making money. And I'm not saying that's done on the left, the Democrat side, but you kind of see where the system's going. It's just not working. I think most people are thinking that. I think most people, though, are like, David, you're right. It's not working. What can I do? Leave America? That's pretty difficult. Guns and ammo. Whoa, I don't want to get arrested, David. I get it. So you're sort of in this, what did I keep saying, America? You're on this bus or train or whatever, and it's clunking. And everyone knows it's like, this train or bus, it's going to break down. Like, we're going off the tracks here. Like, something is not right. The systems aren't working. And then some people either have a lot of money or are really brave. They're like, I'm out of here, man. And they jump off. But you're going through a desert, meaning it's difficult to leave the country. Other people's are, should we just shoot the driver and take charge? Well, I don't want to do violence. And so many people are like, just doing this, but they're looking out the windows and thinking, this train is going to break down. I don't know if it's going to break down in an hour or a week, but we're starting to see these systems aren't working anymore. You're going to get more and more American men, particularly white American men. They're going to not want to pay their taxes. They're not going to serve in the military, and they're not going to buy into the system in some ways or not. It's going down. But you have these dumb MAGA people like, dude, it's all rumors. MAGA is strong as ever. No, it's not. Are you that retarded? I mean, do you know how much experience I've had, even in the world? When, like I said about the Jew thing, when the Chinese start telling me about the Jew thing, and I'm like, really? You see it? They're like, oh yeah, you're a Jewish colony. Like you start, it's sort of like maybe you're trying to lose weight, or maybe no, you're not losing weight, but you look in the mirror and you're like, am I fat? Nah, I'm not fat. And then all of a sudden you see your buddy that you haven't seen in a couple of weeks, and he's like, dude, you're fat. And you're like, am I? Do you notice it? He's like, oh yeah, dude, I notice it. You look like a fat fuck. He's like, I didn't know that. Meaning when you get outsiders, I mean, these cheeky Chinese, I'm like, you really, these people, a lot of them, obviously, they don't even speak English. And I'm like, you know that in America. They said, oh, yeah, we know that. They're like, you're run by the Jews. You're run by Israel. And I'm thinking, that's bad. You know, when we all have blind spots when other people see it. And then there's other things too. And I'm telling you, and China's not the perfect system, but I'm just telling you, you choose. In China, the government runs the show. In our system, the corporations run the show. And the Chinese government, man, I mean, I don't want to live in China, but then again, I'm not Chinese ethnicity. That would change. But their system is going to prevail. When we have a system run by these corporations are globalists. They don't. So you can debate which system's better or not, but I'm telling you, one system is going to survive. This system's going away. But so I go back to my point about the Chinese looking at it. You still have these MAGA superstars who are like, dude, MAGA is strong as ever. Good. All right. We'll keep going with that. Let's see where that goes.
Pageant. And I've known him. I consider him a dear, almost 20. I've been a loyal supporter of the president for almost 20 years. This goes back to when I was 21 years old and I was Miss California at the Miss USA pageant. And I've known him. I consider him a dear friend. And I will tell you right now, I do not recognize our president. I think that we are an occupied nation. I think that a foreign country has occupied our government. And we are seeing now.
These are strong words. Like, again, when I think of the FBI and they're doing what's called FARA, an agent of a foreign power, you're telling me Israel doesn't come in there? Like the top 3, the top 10? Israel? No, Russia. I get it. Russia and China. Hey, I've always said, ever since I joined the FBI, literally 1 year into my FBI, I realized China's the biggest foreign threat, not the biggest threat, the biggest foreign threat. So China, Russia, obviously Iran. Iran is still a threat. But when we're talking about a foreign entity, a foreign government having influence in America, Israel's not anywhere on there. Nothing. I don't know. The Chinese see it pretty clear. So now this statement from her, you don't think this is a big statement? Let's see her again. Now, I don't know if you know this guy. Again, I'm meeting sort of new people, not like I know these people, but on X. She's like this some of you guys may know her name. Girl got fired. She's a pro-Catholic. She pushed back on the Zionism thing. I don't even know these people's name. Like I said, I'm just sort of on X. I would really like to get my problem solved and just be left alone overseas. Like even have one congressman contact me and get off this, because you could tell this social media thing, there is a lot of negative energy, and it's getting worse and worse. And what do I mean? We'll get back to her. Family, society, country, the 3 levels. Family, it's destroyed. The American family is completely destroyed. Society, we are at a civil war in society. I'm telling you, social media, it's a war zone. I would say just generally, just stay the fuck away from it. I'm getting no joy on this. If people are like, man, I always want to do this, I'm making so much money. No, it's been a complete fucking clown show. Horrible shit. That's why I left America. Just want to be left alone. But we are at a society civil war. Once society is over, and it could get there pretty quick, we're at the country level. It's a civil war, but all you got to do is look at social media. Not very good, people. Anyway, let's go back to her, what she says. What she says is a pretty powerful point.
For almost 20 years. This goes back to when I was 21 years old and I was Miss California at the Miss USA pageant. And I've known him. I consider him a dear friend. And I will tell you right now, I do not recognize our president. I think that we are an occupied nation. I think that a foreign country has occupied our government.
You don't think that, like, from an FBI standpoint, this is exactly what the FBI is trained to do. But remember, we had Director Wray, which I totally said was corrupt. You had the southern border open, and he never called it a national security threat. Most of you looking here are probably civilians. You never did James Bond stuff. Trust me, it's overrated. Don't you think you don't even have to be in the government, national security, intelligence person to think probably having the southern border open could be a national security threat? What do you think J. Edgar Hoover would do? Bing, bing, bing. Now she's saying, now you might say she's just a Looney Tunes. That's a side opinion. If that is okay, But if this is getting to the opinion that we are a foreign occupied country, then you have to say, then what the fuck do we have the FBI for? That is exactly what the FBI is intended for. The insider threat, the risk from within, the domestic intelligence. And what's the FBI doing? He's some fucking Indian guy covering up the Epstein file. Like it's almost to the point that Hollywood, like these Hollywood movies, a little comedy, a little romance, a little bullshit. Like I will do videos on Eric Swalwell because I don't even pay attention to the Democrats, but it really is. It's like, I don't know, he was big into the Me Too movement, and now he's with girls. Like the whole thing's a joke now. It got so bad that, like I said, you're talking to a person that I just left, but you're just realizing these systems are not working anymore. Why you still pay your tax money, I don't know, that's your thing. But sooner or later, Americans are going to be like, ain't paying my taxes to this thing.
Government. And we are seeing now that this president of the United States of America is being influenced by a foreign government. And MAGA, let me tell you right now, MAGA is dead. It is deader than dead, and Americans are furious. We do not recognize President Donald J. Trump anymore.
Now, if you blow, again, she's kind of, I forgot her name. Again, white woman, should have never given her the right to vote. She's part of the problem, not her, white man. We should have never given her the right to vote. That would have helped out things. But is she an anomaly? If she is, it's the same thing with my case. If I am an anomaly, then it is what it is. I'm just a road bump. But if more and more Americans have been screwed over like I have, again, who has been the biggest, what's the word I'm looking for? The biggest entity to damage my life. It's been the United States government in so many ways with these corporations. It's not China. It's not Russia. It's not Iran. Even I'm going to give Israel the benefit of the doubt. People go back to Israel, ding, ding, ding. Israel has never betrayed America. Why? Because the Israel government should look out for Israel first, the Israelis first, and the Jews first. I don't have any problem with the Chinese government putting China first and the Chinese people first. Israel's never betrayed us. Our own government has betrayed us. You know, they want to work with Israel, whatever, but it is just amazing on how much our country's going to fall apart. I'm telling you, my videos are going to age like fine wine. Why? Because I'm telling you, I'll put my life on it. From what I've done in my entire life, it leads to exactly what I'm saying. Collapse, revolution, and civil war. And when it happens, the similar like Rome, the pride before the fall, people are going to look back and think, yeah, the warning signs were all there, but we just don't do it. And that's human nature. It's like that analogy. I wish I had like a video person to help me put videos together, but it's like you're on this bus, boom, 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 and you know this bus is gonna crash. But it takes courage and effort to jump off the bus. But all the rich globalist Americans, all these rich people, oh, they're going to get private helicopters come. They already have their exit plan. But most people, it's going to be bad. You're going to see it's going to be bad. Let's do another one. Oh, since we're on the topic of Israel here, not like I'm a fan of the Democrats, but this is pretty interesting.
There's been recent reporting, you probably saw in the New York Times, that Netanyahu sat across. You've probably sat across the table from Prime Minister Netanyahu more than almost anyone else out there, and he and Israel are, of course, big factors here. There's been recent reporting, you probably saw in the New York Times, that Netanyahu was taken into the situation where he basically pitched Trump on attacking Iran. Were you ever part of any conversations like that? I know he's made that pitches to past administrations. Were you ever a part of that? And were you surprised that he was able to convince Trump to do this?
Well, I was part of any number of conversations with Prime Minister Netanyahu, conversations that took place in other countries.
Pitching the U.S. to strike Iran.
Yes, he wanted us to strike. He came to President Obama. He made a presentation to ask to strike. President Obama refused. President Biden refused. President Bush refused. The only president who has agreed to this, obviously, is President Trump. And it's really...
That's pretty interesting. Not like I'm a fan of Obama. Not at all. But it sounds like if it's true, plausible, the Israeli government was trying to influence the American politicians to go to war with Iran, and the Democrats said no, and Trump said yes. Does that mean I'm on the bandwagon with the Democrats? Dude, I'm not even on the bandwagon of America anymore. I don't know what America is, but it does make you wonder. Donald Trump, what did he campaign on? America first, patriotism. You would think that he would probably want to be one of the least presidents to ever do this, unless he's compromised, he's been bribed. I mean, he does come from a sleazy business background. And I say that that's not so bad. It comes with the territory. That's what I'm telling you. I actually look more down on Melania Trump. Trust me on my opinion on Melania Trump. She will throw Donald Trump under the bus. When a good point, I've said this before, when they launched their shit coins, when Donald Trump launched his shit coin, he's a sleazy businessman. There's many times alpha males, they have this residual toxins that you just can't get rid of. It comes with the territory, the good and the bad. Not the first lady though. She shouldn't have launched her shit coin. A good first lady is quiet, submissive, behind closed doors, supports the president, and maybe does initiatives like children. But not out in the open. Remember Erica Kirk? Not out in the open, hey, launching her own movie, launching her own shitcoin. It's even worse. We have double standards in this world. It's like a man using foul language and a woman using foul language. A man uses foul language, sometimes it comes with the territory. If he does it too much, I get it. A woman, different standards. But think about it. These Trumps are rich beyond belief, but not enough for Melania Trump. She wants to do her shitcoin there. I'm telling you, trust me when I say that, you're going to see it. There's a lot of things that are just very weird. So anyway, Donald Trump compromised by Israel, or maybe bribed. Why? Because he's a sleazy businessman. He's like, cha-ching, I'm going to make some money off this. Wouldn't surprise me. Here's another MAGA person, and she's a woman. And what do I say? I don't think women should have ever gotten the right to vote, but I'm agreeing with her.
We have to be realistic about the Republican Party. The Republican Party needs burned to the ground. It's completely controlled. As a matter of fact,
now when she says burn to the ground, what do we do afterwards? Again, my theory on America is we have passed the Rubicon. The only politician that I would really think about this is where they're talking about a split. It's going to have to be split, because if you're going to really go nationalism, we're just too diversified in America. We just have to split. And that's the best way to avoid violence, is just split. It's like a divorce. But anyway, let's hear what she's got to say.
much of Congress is controlled by AIPAC and by Zionists, and that is a serious problem.
There's a repeating picture here, Zionist. Let me say right now, this is my theory on Zionism, or with the you could say being captured by America. I mean, you see it all the time. Like even me in China, like China. He's with the Chinese government, China. But you never hear that about Israel, or you hear that about Russia. Here's my theory on that. I think there's two people in America. We're talking our government or business, stuff like that have been captured by Israel. I think there's one faction that are Christian Zionists. And I've always said I'm not an expert on either Christianity or Judaism, but I'm an expert on leadership, and there's a correlation. So I do believe there's this group that are Christian Zionists that support Israel for some biblical reason. You know, I'm sure someone could articulate it, but it's that point that they believe Israel is the savior and the Jews, and that's why they're doing it. So there's not necessarily a monetary reason, but these are Christian Zionists. And then the rest, it's not that they like the Jews or anything like, it's money. And here's why. I've seen the same thing with China. The point is, and oh, by the way, guess what we call the Chinese? The Jews of Asia. That's what they are. The Chinese are the Jews of Asia. So the point being is because the Chinese have also a lot of money, they've also been able to capture a lot with our government and our corporations. Our corporations are all captured. So I think America is a globalist corporation. We don't really have any values, and it's all about money. And it just happens to be that the highest bidder is a Jewish conglomerate, a Chinese conglomerate, and then a little bit here and there. But the Chinese and Israel are so strong. And I think Americans, these would be our traitors, you could say, that it's not for any ideology, it's for money. In fact, working human intelligence, I should do a time on how to do recruitment. There's many times, how do you recruit people? Why would people spy on their own country, betray them? For ego, for ideology, for revenge, for compromise. And then one of them is, which is the easiest one and the most common, for money. It's purely for money. And so I think a lot of these people, for the same reason you could say they're compromised with this Jewish entity, same reason they compromise the Chinese, all about the money. That's why, like I said, I find so many people like, because you don't hear that much about Israel's the enemy. And again, I believe Israel has much more control than China does. But if you say Israel is the enemy in America, you can get yourself in trouble in many different areas. But when they say China is the enemy, and this is where I've always said I'm a China expert. Have you seen China and have you seen these American corporations flooded? I've said many times, probably before you try to convince the American public that China's the enemy, try to convince the American corporations the enemy, because it's not just the American corporation. That money also gets funneled to our politicians. Our politicians get funneled all that, the American corporation. So anyway, that's what I think about Israel. I think it's probably, you have this group, I don't know the percentage-wise, but one would be these Christian Zionists. So that could be not for monetary reasons. That would be ideology. But then I think a lot of them, it's just who cares? Whoever's got the money. It could be Israel today. It could be China tomorrow. It is what it is. That's why Russia doesn't have as much of an influence. Why? The Russian economy is not as strong as you think. It's not as robust. It's not like China economy or like this Jewish entity where there's a lot of money. Anyway, that's it. Let me see if there's more to it. All right, we'll finish this up.
I fear that we will see a nuclear bomb used on Iran. And I think that'd probably be the worst thing we could see in our lifetimes, is a nuclear bomb used on anyone. You save American troops' lives by get the hell out of the Middle East. We had no business there to begin with. And the truth is, look, you may have supported President Trump for 10 years like I did, like you have, but this is not the same man. This is not the same man that we supported.
Yeah, pretty tough one. Now we're going to go to this clip on Donald Trump. He just seems to be now this could be, and no, I still think Joe Biden, again, I'm not a doctor on this, but I'm trying to do my evaluation. Joe Biden had some mental issues. Could this be the start of Donald Trump having some mental issues? He is starting to sound more and more retarded. Like this clip, it just sounds really retarded.
We'll see what happens. I think that.
All right, here we go.
Well, you keep saying is this war over?
I think it's close to over, yeah.
I mean, are you fucking kidding me? I know he didn't graduate West Point, but he's the commander-in-chief. I mean, I don't know. Doesn't he have West Point generals with him? This is the commander-in-chief. Is the war over? I don't know. It's like a little kid, like he's playing Legos. He's like, I don't know. I just want to bomb him a little bit more. Just bing, bing, ba-bing, ba-boom. A couple more. Fucking yeah. Bing, bing, boom, boom. Okay, did we have fun? Okay, it's about over. It's like a fucking game. What is the objective, asshole? I mean, this is West Point 101. What exactly? I don't know. This is why we're run by the military-industrial complex. Why? Because the corporations run the military. So you don't have good military generals anymore because the generals are not abiding by military doctrine. They're abiding by a corporation. And what does a corporation want? They don't want to win a war. They don't want to lose a war. Just keep it going. Just get profits. So it's kind of like that. But otherwise, what exactly is the objective? And that's what I said. I didn't know what the objective was in Iraq. Do you know? We obviously lost. There's still terrorism. We were in Iraq. We're in Afghanistan. What are we doing in Iran? I don't know. Just bing, ba-boom. Well, David, we're getting rid of all their atomic weapons. Okay, has that been achieved? And how do you get? Now, again, I've always said I'm not an expert on nuclear warfare. How do you do it? You do, meaning even if we get out all their enrichment material and material to make atomic bombs, can't they make it later? And then we have to do it gets kind of complex because generally speaking at West Point, once the mission deviates from kill and destroy, Once it deviates from those, it gets kind of confusing. I mean, that's what the military is. It's a hammer. We kill, destroy, kill, destroy. Once it gets that, prevent them from making a nuclear bomb. I don't know. How do you prevent them? Nuke them, I guess. I guess we're just going to fucking nuke them. This gets complicated. I mean, North Korea's got a nuclear weapon, but the point being is this. Let's go back to what he's saying. Do you think he has a grasp of what this mission is? He's the commander-in-chief. And again, this is your tax money. Not like anyone cares. It's all funny money. But I mean, if you're a soldier, not like I support military veterans anymore. They don't support me. I don't support them. They're doing it for the money. It's not doing. I mean, do you really think we're in Iran for duty, honor, country? I just showed you that clip of that white girl getting her ass kicked by that black woman. I think she's more worried about physical safety from her next door neighbor than Iran. So it's all about the money. But we have to ask, what are we doing there? And I think it's the same boondoggle that the other presidents got us in these wars. But the difference was Trump didn't campaign on this. I would have thought Trump probably, I was going to tell another story about Afghanistan with Trump and Biden, but forget it. Let's keep going with him. But let's start with this over. It sounds kind of weird what he's saying.
Well, you keep saying was. Is this war over?
I think it's close to over, yeah. I mean, I view it as very close to over. You know what? If I pulled up stakes right now, it would take them 20 years to rebuild that country. And we're not finished. But we'll see what happens. I think they want to make a deal very badly.
That's pretty unprecedented. I mean, having direct talks like that.
I have talks with everybody, but it's very effective. I think you're going to have a great deal. I'm doing a great job for the country and for the world. You know, we've had no help.
You know what I say? This is really leadership 101. I'm going to take a step back. Let's see where it goes. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I remember in 2007 at the Harvard Kennedy School, which, oh, by the way, I think Pete Hegseth, again, there's always good and bad, but Pete Hegseth now is not allowing the military officers to get trained at Harvard. It's too liberal. I agree. But when I was at the Harvard Kennedy School, it was, I mean, intelligence, military, special operations, it was the crowd. In 2007, these were some of the most stupid, arrogant people I've ever seen. Afghanistan, Iraq, man, mission, we're going to do it. I'm like, no, you're not. What's the mission? It's going to fail. And guess what? Would you want to go? I mean, would you think about if we went back in time and there was a draft and they said, we need you to go to Iraq and Afghanistan. Would you go for that? Guess what my prediction is again with Iran? Same thing. But if I'm wrong, I'll say I'm wrong. But I don't know what the mission is. We're going to prevent Iran from not having a nuclear bomb? Okay, I don't know. I've never studied that at West Point. We just, like I said, kill and destroy are usually the two things. I mean, we could destroy all of Iran. I mean, we could nuke them. I mean, that's basically what we did to Japan. I guess we're going to do that. Then we're going to have to occupy it. But then it's like, what, do you realize what we're getting into? And then you're thinking, is that America first? Our country's falling apart? And he totally, like I said, if anyone disagrees with me, let's see where this goes. But it's getting retarded. And this is now they're mocking Donald Trump. And it's getting embarrassing.
In my head just look. I will never give you up. The Strait of Hormuz must be shut. Blockade, blockade. In my head just look out. Please let the ships go through. Come on, at least a few. If you block me, then I block you. Blockade, blockade. I thought this was easy peasy. Blockade. Now MAGA and Melania leave me. Blockade. Surrender is beneath me. Blockade, blockade.
So in terms of the troop deployments, I've said many times, I am 100% in favor of a full ground invasion. And fuck it, let's get the military draft going. Let's do it. Here's why Leadership 101. This is so what we specialize, and I need to do more videos on leadership. So let me show you. I'm going to do a compare before we get to the final thing. What is leadership? Well, the verb is to lead people. You don't lead things, so it's people. You lead people, you influence people. So you have to be good with people. So let me just explain this, and we're going to get with Donald Trump. And that's why I'm saying I fully support a ground invasion and military draft. I don't think it'll ever happen, but hopefully that's where I want to do it. Meaning, put your words. When you think of all these people, are politicians that are saying, so again, I'm going to give you a great human intelligence. And a lot of this is based on common sense, people. Donald Trump says we need to go in there. All these politicians need to say go in there. Or you get it, the bandwagon, the Fox News, we have to do this, we have to do this. And this is also why this whole thing about Brandon, his son, can't go in the military because he's too tall. He can. There's certain what's called military occupational specialties he can't, like he can't go into a tank or whatever, because he can go into the military. And Donald Trump, as the sleazy salesman as he is, if Barron wanted to go into the military and Donald Trump allowed him to, oh my God, it would be the biggest propaganda move. Trump, MAGA, Republican, look at my son. He would just do the fireworks for it. But Barron doesn't want to go in the military. And Trump probably said, you ain't going. You're not going to die. You're not going to be one of these low DNA shitbag soldiers. Let the low DNA guys die. So anyway, back to my point. You're hearing Fox News and all these people saying why we need to go to war with Iran. But most of them never serve in the military. Their kids are not in the military. I'm going to try to relate this to an investment. Some person is convincing you, I don't know, we'll say crypto. You got to get into this crypto. You got to do it. You got to get into this crypto. A good question is, well, are you invested in that crypto or whatever the investment is? And if the answer is no, or my funds are tied up, or I got to do my thing, if I don't do it, what does that do? It sinks your level of confidence. But if he says we have a military saying called all in, like you're all in, doesn't mean to be every single penny, but he's all in. Boom. He puts a lot of money. Now, it still could be a bad investment, but leading by example, it is a sense of influence. Says, dude, the majority of my money I have invested in this investment. Now, like I said, it still could be a bad investment, but what does it do? It sends a sense of evidence that says, okay, he put his skin in the game. His teeth are in there. Very similar to the military, very similar to Iran. And that's what I'm talking about Donald Trump. Could you imagine Donald Trump said, this war in Iran is so important that I just spoke with Barron this morning. Barron is enlisting in the U.S. Army, and he's going to get deployed to the front lines in Iran. I mean, it would just be fucking boom. Even me, I still think it's a bad idea with Iran, but would that influence me? It would. This is the guy, meaning Donald Trump, saying, Iran, we need to go in there for national security. We need to fight this enemy. Do you have any skin on the game? Donald Trump has no skin on the game. He's going to make a shitload of money off this war. But if he would, and remember, he was a 5-time draft dodger too. It's embarrassing. As much as I like Donald Trump, it's sort of like he's the best of what we have. But I mean, oh my God, he dodged the draft 5 times, and now he wants us to get into wars. He's not going to die. He's kidding. And if you look, I don't want to change the subject. I said it before. He comes from a family history of draft dodging all the way to Germany. But anyway, it would change it though. If he's like my name's Donald Trump and I'm a military veteran. I don't know, whatever. Vietnam. He's like, I served in Vietnam and I'm a Purple Heart. And my son Barron is in the military. Would that change your opinion? Maybe it wouldn't change it, but I think it would influence it. It would influence mine. Not even close, people. These shit bag politicians and globalists, they're not going to die. And when the dollar goes to shit, their investments. I don't know. Like I said, I think the momentum is going to continue to go no matter what we do. And it's really the Roman Empire. And good luck to people, because we're not even together in America. Well, we're not, like I said. So it is what it is. I don't think anything's going to change it. But hopefully Trump doesn't do a taco. And oh, by the way, that is another horrible acronym to have as a leader. You don't want to be a taco. You want to be a leader that's either quiet, or when you say something, you do it. But people are like, no, man, he's 3D chess. They don't know where he is. He's all over the map. After a while, it turns into like a little fucking kid. You're playing Scrabble games. You don't know what to do. But it's like, chicken. If he says he's going to do it, do it. But he chickens out. That's not a very strong. If you want to have strong leadership, you want people to respect your words. But if your words continue to change, after a while, you sound like a girl. Like blah, 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 blah. And that's a good example. Trump is getting to me a little bit like his jokes and stuff. I think they were cool in the beginning because it was sort of like an alpha male. Say, hey, I'm not politically correct. That's how it is. And it was humor, but it was like, wow, man, he's not being political. Now he's just trying to be a comedian, and our country's going to shit. He started a fucking war that could go to World War III. And now he's like, let me see what type of cool joke I could do on Twitter. Now it's starting to turn very immature. It's just not cool. And like I said, if people like it, have fun with it. We'll see where it's going. But it is starting to be like, grow the fuck up. Like, we're at war. The economy's going to shit. I don't even think you know what the mission is. They're not going to die. But again, you get these dumb military veterans. They want to go and die in Iran. I mean, do it, but I'm not going to thank them for their service. Let's do one more with Tucker Carlson, what he thinks.
What matters, tensions are at their peak right now. Russia's Night Hunter attack helicopters have reportedly appeared in the skies over Tehran, a move seen as a significant upgrade to Iran's military capabilities. But what matters even more is what's happening behind the scenes. Russia clearly isn't acting alone, and according to multiple analyses, China is standing behind the scenes, quietly backing the situation to protect its energy interests and regional influence. When these two powers apply pressure at the same time, the United States is forced to adjust its strategy. And that's why Trump suddenly posted about permanently opening the Strait of Hormuz. This is not just a simple step back. It's a calculated decision to avoid direct confrontation with a larger force that may be taking shape. Because if China is truly backing this indirectly through Russia, any aggressive military move could push the situation out of control. And that's when the entire dynamic starts to shift. Russia shows up on the front line with weapons. China operates behind the scenes with strategy, and the U.S.
Well, like I said, let's see where this thing goes. I want to end it a little bit with a different topic too. This is also about the military, Australia, people in our service. And what did I keep saying? What's happening in the West is also similar to America. So this is about Australia, but Western Europe, Canada, Australia, it's all the same. We're going to do 3 clips, but it's basically how the Australian government has totally betrayed its people. These are military veterans. Quick clips, but it kind of just shows where this is going.
Robert Smith was arrested. Australia's most decorated living soldier has been arrested over alleged war crimes in Afghanistan. Here's what we know. The man, who police identified as a 47-year-old former Australian Defence Force member and the media named as Ben Robert Smith, was arrested on Tuesday morning at Sydney Airport. He's accused of involvement in the deaths of 5 people during his deployments between 2009 and 2012. Australian Federal Police say he'll be charged with 5 counts of war crime murder. Police allege the victims were not taking part in hostilities and were detained and unarmed when they were killed. The maximum penalty for each charge is life in prison. Robert Smith was once hailed a national hero and was awarded Australia's top military honour, the Victoria Cross, for his actions during his tours in Afghanistan from 2006 to 2012. He's consistently denied allegations of wrongdoing about his service, some of which were first reported in the Australian media in 2018. He unsuccessfully challenged those reports in what became Australia's most expensive defamation trial. In 2023, a judge ultimately found the newspapers had proven, on the civil standard.
I mean, who would want to serve in these military? One more clip about this guy.
Has today been arrested. It will be alleged The man was a member of the ADF when he was involved in the death of Afghan nationals between 2009 and 2012 in circumstances that constitute war crimes under the Commonwealth Criminal Code. A former Australian Defence Force member has today been arrested and will be charged with 5 counts of war crime murder after a joint investigation between the Office of the Special Investigator and the AFP. The former soldier was arrested at Sydney's domestic airport this morning.
You know, like I said, when you have a country, and I think we're there already in America, like we wouldn't do a draft. I mean, who wants to serve in the military anymore? You're seeing, and I think a way to get men to get in the military is you crash the economy, where they just need to do it for, like I said, money. But look out, because look at what Australia is doing to this soldier. You don't think we would do it to ours? I mean, it just, the whole thing is getting to the point. Who wants to pay into this system with your blood or your money? These systems, these Western governments suck. So this is a guy who got sent to war. Now you're going to see soldiers go to Iran. This is one more story. I wanted to tie it in. This is an American citizen, former military man who left America. I don't know about him. I just found out in the news. It's an interesting story. He left America. I guess he was a former Top Gun pilot. He became an Australian citizen. He's no longer an American citizen. He's a Top Gun pilot. Then he went to China to train pilots. And now the FBI has arrested him and he's being extradited back to America. Watch this story. This is pretty crazy.
A former American Top Gun pilot who now lives in Australia will be extradited to the US following a ruling from the federal court in Canberra this morning. Dan Duggan's been accused of unlawfully aiding the Chinese military, a claim he vehemently denies. Kari Greenbank is covering the case for 10 News Plus. Kari, this must have been a devastating result for Dan's family.
Well, Ange, we've just spoken with Dan's wife, Safreen, and she says she's very disappointed by this outcome. She said that she'd just gotten off the phone with Dan Duggan himself, calling from maximum security prison, and he is devastated by the news.
So this is the weirdest. So this guy, I hope you see him. His wife is Australian. He's an Australian, lives in Australia, and he was training Chinese pilots. Now, people could say, that's wrong. Guess what we did in Boeing? We trained pilots. And you might say, but that's commercial. How do you know? How do you know? But we'll finish it. The point being is we don't know what the law is anymore here. But anyway, going back to Australia, boy, and there's no crime in Australia. Like there's no crime at all. So this is big. And I keep telling you, if you're a Western country, you're an American colony. So he committed no crime in Australia. He's an Australian citizen. He's not an American citizen anymore. And he's being held in jail in Australia because of the FBI, and now he's being extradited back to America. What did I tell you, America? It's Big Brother. Unbelievable how powerful. And these Western boys, so basically Australia took their Australian citizen and just said, you can have them.
As well. This was the next step in the family's attempts to stop Dan Duggan's extradition to the United States, where the former US Marines pilot is expected to be charged over allegations related to illegally training Chinese pilots in South Africa in 2012. Now, these are
so again, I just hear about the update. I did a video on this a year ago when I first heard it. Do you know what we do in America? We have American Special Forces veterans, guys who serve SEALs, Green Berets, Rangers. They retire and they open up their own tactical schools in America. You know, whatever, teaching you all the tactics, shoot, move, stuff like that. And it's open to civilians. So Americans go and do that. I don't see a major issue with that. But guess who else they're training? Chinese soldiers. And it's legal. I did the video on it. So you have Chinese soldiers who come to America on a tourist visa. They enroll in these schools. They find the best schools in America. And these schools know it. They're like, oh, you're from China. I'm a Chinese citizen serving in the military, serving in the police. Well, because remember, we're a corporation, man. It's all about the money. And we're training these guys. It's the same thing when I think about if you're a Chinese national, you're allowed to join our military. I've always said, I believe if you're going to join the American military, you have to be a U.S. citizen. But we don't have that. Or maybe if we allow foreign nationals, which I disagree with, I don't know, if China's the enemy, why the fuck are we letting them do it? Nothing makes sense, people. Nothing makes sense. I was on projects with Boeing where we're training Chinese pilots. You don't know who these fucking pilots are. It's China. It's not so much like America where private sector, government sector, where it's all blurry in there. You think Boeing cares? Fuck no. Boeing is a globalist corporation. They don't have loyalty to the United States government or to the U.S. citizens. They only have loyalty to who? Their shareholders. Like all these global, that's different in China though. The Chinese corporations, they must have loyalty to the Chinese government. Has to. Not ours. And guess what all these American globalist corporation shareholders want? Well, they just want money. They don't give a shit. So this story is so weird. I'm really interested. There could be facts about it. I don't know. But we do know one thing. The Australian government, he committed 0 crimes. According to Australia law, 0 crimes. He's an Australian citizen with an Australian wife and Australian kids in Australia. He was arrested in Australia via the FBI and it was extradited. So what did I keep telling you about the Western countries? I've said this before. You are American colonies. You're American colonies. Anyway, let's keep looking at this.
Allegations that Dan Duggan has long denied. This morning, here at the federal court in Canberra, the hearing was all over in a matter of minutes. The judge essentially threw out the family's application, which was based on legal arguments relating to the extradition. The judge also ordered that the Duggan family pay legal costs. And that is a huge blow in itself because
the Australian government just threw the book at a guy who's an Australian citizen and who never committed anything illegal by Australian law. It kind of showed you that other video about they put the SS guy in jail. I don't know. Again, what do I keep saying? Who wants to serve in these militaries anymore unless you just need the money, which I've said, a lot of these guys in the military now, it's all about the money. But the way these guys are getting treated, I don't want my kids serving in the military. No way. Let's finish this.
Saffreen has previously told us that the family is already more than $1 million in debt fighting this case. Now that's $1 million plus these costs. As for where we go from here, lawyers for the Duggan family say that they're waiting to review this 36-page document from the judge, but it is likely an appeal is expected. It's just a matter of whether that's an appeal through the federal court or whether that's an appeal through the High Court. But as for Saffreen herself, she is appealing directly to the Prime Minister and the Attorney General to essentially just stop the extradition. Now, Dan Duggan is a father of 6. He was arrested in 2022. He's been in maximum security prison ever since then, 19 months of that in solitary confinement, despite never facing an Australian charge. Saffreen told us today that she plans fighting this case for as long as she has to. Ange?
Talk about big government. The reason that so these correlates to, even Australia, how they treat the military, their citizens. One of the reasons I'm fully in favor of ground invasion followed by a military draft. And I focus more on the MAGA people because I'm just guessing that the liberals hate America, which is fine. I mean, you do what you want. I'm not a fan of America, I'll tell you that. But the MAGA people, they have the American flag. I love America. I love this. I love that. They constantly love to say how much they support military veterans. So it's more on them. But boy, I'll tell you, if the military draft comes, I am really interested to see what these MAGA people are going to say. Because Barron Trump, he's not going to get drafted, 100%. And if for some reason he does, he will be far behind lines. I mean, he's going to be in the friggin' Coast Guard or something like that. But either way, I hope Trump doesn't do another taco, which is embarrassing. It's not leadership. Some people think, no, man, that's leadership. No, it's getting embarrassing. It's kind of like the guy who's like, I'll fight you. I won't fight you. I'll fight you. I won't fight you. Either fight or walk away. Because now you're bothering me. You're like a fly. You're bothering me like a mosquito. So I hope he doesn't taco out and he goes full ground invasion. And I think it's going to be a meat grinder. Do I think the military draft will come? I think there'll be so much pressure from the Republicans that, be suicide politically, but who knows? I hope it does. I hope it happens. But either way, who thinks this war is going to go well? There's nothing in there that's going to say it's going to go well. And who is actually coming out as a little bit, you could say, the tough guy? The Chinese. Because the Chinese, they, through many channels, Donald Trump liked to say, now the Chinese said they're not going to supply any weapons to Iran. Sure, I think the Chinese made an ultimatum and they said, let our Chinese oil vessels pass through the Strait of Hormuz, or we're going to supply weapons. I think that was something like that. And then Donald Trump is like, okay, fine, the ships can pass. And already Chinese ships are passing through the Straits of Hormuz. So it just, like I said, if anyone thinks I'm wrong, let's see how this goes. But I'm sort of doing the same type of judgment on Afghanistan, Iraq, but this one could be a higher level, meaning if we push it, this could be at a much higher level in terms of a religious war. Either way, the amount of money that we've spent, number one, the lives, not so many, but you don't want to be so callous. We did have some body bags coming back here and there. People get, but also where are we standing on a world stage? And I think what most Americans don't realize, because we'll end it here, only religious, we'll just end it here, and that is, I think the statistic is only 5% of Americans have a passport. I think that's the statistic. In fact, the statistic also are only 50% of politicians have passports, which, meaning you've never left the country, unless I guess you could go to Canada with a driver's license. So that could be, but let's face it, Canada isn't exactly an exotic foreign country. But what am I making the point here? Well, if you never want to leave America the rest of your life, okay. But you start making this war where it gets bigger and bigger, where it's a jihad. You're an American citizen traveling abroad. I'm telling you, they're not going to care. You didn't vote for Trump. You didn't support the war, this, that. You're an American citizen, and you're going to be targeted. And you're going to see a whole new level of asymmetrical attacks that are going to come for Americans, let alone domestic terrorist attacks. But when Americans are shocked, what do you think was going to happen? Think about it. It's the same thing you teach your son. If your son's a bully and he goes around and knocks people's teeth out, dad, beat him up, sooner or later karma's going to go. And the point being is you go around bombing countries. We're bombing the shit out of them. You don't think we're killing civilians? Now, if it's justified, and I do believe there's a time where killing is justified, wars, I don't see this justification. If you do have fun, but you're located overseas, and they find out you're an American citizen, when this intensity increases, you may be a target. And they're not going to care what your political ideology or this or that. All they know is you're an American. And the American government, the same bullshit that we always like to say, we have no problem with the people. We just have a problem with the Iranian government. You hear that too, that, well, we're bombing the shit out of Iranian people. We are killing Iranian people. If you're okay with that, that's fine. But there could be a time where if you end up overseas and you're designated, or they find out you're an American citizen, same thing. They don't care. It's not like, no, I'm just a civilian. It's the American government that's evil, not me. Well, that ain't going to fly. You're going to get in you could be in a world of hurt. Okay, we'll end it here. I'll just look at some final. I see main source 55. Seems a bit old design. I think at the end of the day, I think this is both in a biblical sense and also the globalist. There are people that the amount of money that is being controlled in this world by the top 1%, it's almost like a god, like a physical god. When you have that much money, we're talking BlackRock and Vanguard, and also maybe it is. There's some biblical force that's outside our realm. But I do feel also in some ways, we are on this journey in Earth, and it is what it is. We're all on this bus, and it's like you can't get, either God has a hand on here for good or for bad, or these will, I don't think people can even understand where you start getting into the billionaires, the trillionaires. You put how much power that is when you're looking at money and influence, that it just shows us that we, the little people, in some ways, it might not fucking matter at all what we say or what we do. Those who control us, either the hand of God or the hand of these globalist entities, it's just too much power. But we do have other entities. It's sort of like you're this little pea pod and the bulls are in the ring. And even though you're a nobody, you're watching the bulls. And one of these bulls is China in terms of their money. So maybe, like I said, we the little people we have no say. But maybe you watch these bulls. China has a say. Russia has a say. These entities, maybe they can, if we're not thinking biblical. So maybe watch the path they're going. But I could say China's going to have more and more influence. And I do think, how's America going? Turning more and more to a bully, more and more like a corporation. And like I said, if anyone doesn't agree with me, I say again, I fully support a ground invasion in Iran. And I actually hope a military draft comes. And then you're going to start seeing a lot more truth in America. There's a lot of bullshit. We're also talking MAGA people, man. Man, I love my country. Okay, we'll sign up, asshole. Go into fucking war. No, let's see. You'll find a lot more truth because I think the bullshit meter in America, we're not saying the politicians. I'm even talking about American citizens. And I've said the same thing about the Chinese. I don't see much different. The Chinese and the Chinese government, pretty much the same. But this sort of like in America, the evil American government, those good American people, or like the FBI, the evil FBI management, but not those good, hardworking field agents. I don't know. I changed my mind. I think maybe it's not so much different as we think. So it is what it is. This system's going to roll. Anyway, let's go. Anything else? Anyway, until then, David Baumblatt from Terabinth Leadership. To the Patriots out there, lead to victory.